He's his flight got stuck or something.
The sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
Greetings from the depths of college football hell, the sport that is literally killing me and my bank account. God damn, college football's hard right now. Hope you all are enjoying your weekend. Hope you all had a better Saturday than I did. It sucked because right now, I mean, the Mets just beat the Phillies in game one. I was talking about this in the video last night. The Mets just beat the Phillies in game one. I'm having a great NFL season. I should be really enjoying my weekend. I should be in a great mood. But college football is just like really killing my vibes. It's really hard to be in a good mood when you're losing a ton of money and letting people down. So yeah, frustrated about college football. Big touchdown by the Jets though for my over at 40.5. And you know what? We're entering an NFL week. The NFL season's been good to me. If I'm having a good season, the top bets on the website for the NFL is 9-2. Sweet. And I started this week off with a win over in Falcons Bucks. Steve, how are things going for you over there?
Good for me. That's the one sport I stay away from, college football. So Saturday's my.
It's good for your mental health to do that.
I can always come into Sunday happy. That's right. And we hit that Mets money line yesterday, so that was good.
Grimace. All right. So yeah, there's just 3 of us today, and we got I think 12 games on the board. So this one might be a little quicker. That's a sack. We're going into the half now. So all right, I won't be distracted. First up. Dolphins, Patriots in New England. I took the Dolphins in this one. Let me pull up my notes. I actually took the Dolphins to the money line. I got it at a pick'em, or I think I got -1. No, I got -110. So I got a literal pick'em here. All right. So my thoughts on the Patriots are as follows. I think this team is more than a field goal worse than the other 31 NFL teams. I think this might be the worst a semblance of an offensive line we've seen in this era of football. It's truly that bad. This offensive line is awful. They're injured as hell, and they weren't a good offensive line before the injuries. So this Patriots offense is record-breakingly bad. Look, I know the Dolphins didn't look good last week against Tennessee, but that was a very unique matchup. Tennessee is a bad football team, but they do have a very good defensive front. So the Dolphins went to that game with an injured offensive line. They're still a little bit injured. They're still missing Isaiah Wynn, but he hasn't played in a decade. Terron Armstead is back at left tackle. Mostert's back and healthy. He wasn't even on the injury report when I looked yesterday. So the offense is a bit healthier. Against the Patriots, Huntley should have time to throw here. So I like it. I like the matchup for the Dolphins. I think I'm getting the much better team. And like I said, the Patriots on the offensive side of the ball they don't have the offense to hang in a football game with anybody consistently. The Dolphins have had their problems, but the weakness of Miami's defense so far this year has been defending the intermediate and the deep passes that travel 15+ yards. There is no more inept offense in that department than the New England Patriots. They don't have a downfield passing attack. I mean, in terms of the battle in the trenches, Patriots offensive line is terrible, and the Dolphins defensive run has actually played well. Against the run, they're 10th in yards per carry allowed, 6th in success rate, 12th in EPA. As far as creating pressure, 16th in pressure rate, 13th in pass rush grade, 10th in adjusted sack rate. The Dolphins defensive front has been fine, so they should absolutely bully the Patriots' injured, terrible offensive line. Getting the much better team here. You're going to see Huntley with some time to throw. Look, I'm not saying Huntley's going to go off, but he can still make plays, and he's got plenty of weapons around him. So I'm getting a much better team to pick him.
Analyze this. You had me lost at Dolphins at Patriots. I wish I could watch this game, but I'm really busy. I got paint drying that I have to watch. This is atrocious, guys. I lean under. Stevenson was just benched due to fumbling. And I don't understand. He's like their only good offensive player for the Patriots. It's a lean under for me. I can't play anything with the Dolphins. That takes some big you-know-whats, Kyle, to bet the Dolphins right now. I will say that. But it's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be like 17-13 maybe at the most game. So give me the under if I had to go one way.
Had myself on mute there. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Jabbo. This game is a complete waste of my time and a joke. The Patriots, I mean, what is Gerard Mayo doing benching your own best player? I understand that Ramondre Stevenson has fumbled 4 games in a row, but that's your best player. You just played him a fuck ton of money in the offseason. What are you doing? So just simply moronic stuff there. I don't understand Gerard Mayo's philosophies as a head coach or what the Patriots are just doing overall. And then Tyler Huntley on the other side. Jesus Christ, the Dolphins just I don't understand what they're doing overall. So yeah, complete waste of my time not betting this game. If Demario Douglas couldn't go over his yards mark last week against that matchup, in a game where they were trailing the entire time, I just simply don't want to cap the Patriots anymore. So done.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a buy low on the Dolphins because I don't think people saw the final score right in the game against the Titans. I don't think people realize there's a big gap between the Titans defensive front and the Patriots defensive front. The Patriots are pretty trash around the clock here. I think as bad as Huntley looked last week against a good defense, I actually think he's going to look pretty good, and McDaniel's going to find ways to get the ball into the hands of the playmakers there. I like that Mostert's back as well. So next game. I actually like that bet, by the way. That wasn't even like, I guess I'll take the Dolphins. I actually bet that. Like, I like the Dolphins today. All right. Carolina on the road in Chicago. Oh, man. I went with my gut on this one. I'm on the Bears. I know that the quote-unquote sharp side is going to be the other way here on Carolina. I got the Bears at -3.5. I think it feels a little bit like a sell high spot on the Panthers offense, which is just wild. So obviously Andy Dalton takes over the starting job in week 3 and the Panthers offense goes off, right? They slapped the Raiders around in that game. Then last week they play a really bad Bengals defense. Andy Dalton didn't even play well, by the way. Did you look at his numbers? He dropped back to pass, 40 times and only had 220 yards. He did not play well. He had like an 81 passer rating. The Panthers were able to run the ball on the Bengals, but there was no passing attack at all. That was at home against the Bengals defense. You're expecting Andy Dalton to play better on the road in Chicago. The Bears pass rush, much better than the Bengals pass rush. The Bears secondary, much better than the Bengals secondary. The Bears have not been a team that quarterbacks can throw on this year. So the Andy Dalton came back down to earth a little bit last week at home against the Bengals. On the road in Chicago, Andy Dalton should be in actual hell here. And look, maybe after what we saw last week, maybe you're thinking Chuba Hubbard can have himself a day, run the ball on the Bears a little bit. The Bears' run defense has been a bit vulnerable. It's definitely the weak spot of their defense, but actually they're somewhat decent against zone running schemes. Where is it? 10th and 7th in yards per carry and success rate against zone runs, and that's what the Panthers do. That's a little thin. But basically, I'm not taking the Panthers to go into Chicago and just run the ball on the Bears like that. Andy Dalton, I could see an interception or two. And then on the other side, the Bears offense hasn't been great, but there's a couple things in the last couple weeks that I really like what I'm seeing. First of all, the Bears were able to run the ball last week on the Rams. And you might be thinking, oh, Kyle, who cares? It's the Rams defense. Yo, this is the Panthers. It's the Panthers. They're just as bad. I mean, their defense is terrible. So it was a nice sign to see the Bears get the run game going last week. Maybe I'm not asking for 5 yards per carry. Give me 4.4 yards per carry against the Panthers here. And I think that's very doable at home. Also, Caleb Williams, his best 2 games this year against the Colts and Rams the last 2 weeks. Not only is it a good sign because, A, 2 games in a row, maybe he's improving as the season. I mean, he is a rookie. And B, both of those teams run a lot of zone coverage. So his best 2 games were against defenses that run a lot of zone coverage. Panthers run nothing but zone coverage. They run the most cover 3 in the league. So I like the matchup for the Bears offense, and I think Andy Dalton's going to be in hell. I took the Bears at -3.5. Chi-Town.
Yeah, so I'll go next. For a lean for this side, I tend to agree with Kyle on the Bears, but I do think Chuba Hubbard can have a decent game here. Bears are 19th right now on 4.5 yards per carry. If there's one way to beat him, it's on the ground, and we've seen it with Chuba. The one trend I have for this one, Bears have won 7 straight home games. Doesn't mean they've covered, but they've won 7 straight home. So Bears team total maybe over. I think it's like 21.5 is not a bad option either. But my best bet in this game is Chuba Hubbard anytime touchdown because we're still getting +135 for an absolute workhorse running back. 21 and 18 carries in the last 2 games. In the 2 games with Andy Dalton, he scored a touchdown in both games. He has 9 total targets also. Facing, like I said, the Bears defense. They've actually allowed the 5 rushing touchdowns already to running backs this year. I think they allowed like 7 or 8 all of last year. Red zone rush share, it's all things Hubbard, 72.7% red zone rush share. Every carry inside the 5 went to him last week. I like Hubbard to get in the end zone. I think we're getting really good value here at plus 135 I found on FanDuel. But like Kyle said, I do lean the Bears. I do think Andy Dalton's coming back down to earth a little bit. But I kind of lean the Bears team total over 21.5 if I had to pick one on that side. So.
Someone said, Kyle Kirms, I know you like trends. I think that's sarcastic because I don't like trends. Every team that has played the Detroit Lions afterwards had lost the game. So I guess every team has lost coming off the Lions game. Prop Beaver? Oh, no. I was just reading a comment.
He's muted.
Muted myself in this one. I like DJ Moore under 53.5 receiving yards in this one. I know a lot of people may not like that due to the revenge angle here against his old team, but I don't really think there's any revenge here. I mean, you escaped Carolina. Good on you, man. I love this one. Keenan Allen lives in the slot while Rome Odunze, he's not really going to catch the same respect as DJ Moore due to his rookie status. So I'm expecting DJ Moore to get the J.C. Horn assignment here, and that has led to some really rough result for opposing wide receiver ones. I mean, look at week 1. Olave, only 2 receptions for 11 yards on 2 targets. The rest of his teammates went off. Ladd McConkey, 2 receptions for 26 yards on 4 targets. Devontae Adams, 4 receptions on 40 yards on 9 targets. And then Jamar Chase, sure, if you look at it, he had 3 receptions for 85 yards on 6 targets. But I went ahead and I watched that 63-yard touchdown. That had to be just about 2 of the most pathetic missed tackles over the missed field I've ever witnessed. And if you look at the rest of the game, Chase was completely held in check that entire rest of that game. And 50 of those 63 yards came after those 2 missed tackles. So I think that J.C. Horn completely held that man in check the entire rest of that game. He looks fantastic. And this Panthers defense has ran zone coverage at the 4th highest rate in the league thus far. More versus zone coverage, going back to last year, is just not effective. Look at more versus zone coverage thus far. 0.84 yards per route run. 5.8 yards per reception. That's terrible. And on top of that, the Panthers run 1 high safety on 68.8% of their snaps. That's 3rd highest in the NFL. His average depth of target against these looks, just 5.5 yards. I mean, that's not really doing anything. I think with the glaring injuries to the Panthers front 7 and the Bears gaining momentum on the ground last week as is, I anticipate them trying to establish the run here and Moore seeing less opportunities against a scheme he's less productive against. I mean, Moore's receptions line in this one, just 4.5 at even odds on both sides, despite going over in 3 or 4, averaging 5.5. If we look at Moore with some decreased opportunities with 6 or less receptions, he's under his last 23 or 38 games. With 5 or less receptions, he's under his last 21 or 30 games. So I really like Moore there. And then I don't know if we're going to get a line on this guy, so I guess bear with me here. But if we do get a line on this guy, I really, really like the value on him. I mean, Andy has a line there, but I just checked OddsJam and I don't see anything, so I don't know if Buddy's making up lines in his head. I mean, he does have a creative mind, that one. Trevin Wallace, the rookie, over tackles and assists, he's out of Kentucky. He's going to be thrusted into a full-time starting linebacker role this week with both Josie Jewell and Shaq Thompson out. Facing a Bears offense that, despite sucking ass, this offense allows a ton of tackles to linebackers. In fact, more specifically, the 3rd most. Last 3 games, we've seen 5 different inside linebackers hit double digits against the Bears. And we're going to catch likely a ridiculously low line here. I mean, this guy's a rookie. He only averaged 6.7 tackles plus assists his last year at Kentucky, but he was the talk of Panthers camp. And on top of that, in the preseason, he had 11 combined tackles on 76 snaps, according to PFF. They don't really hand out tackles like that on PFF. Usually they only account for 66% of the actual tackles that are credited in like ESPN and like what's given to like for like most books and stuff like that. And on top of that, I mean, that's the amount of snaps he should be seeing in a game. So 11 tackles on 76 snaps. I think that if we get a line here, I'm going to be putting a half unit on him. So yeah.
NFL Sunday, by the way, has not started until we get a defensive tackle prop from.
It's true.
Yep.
You guys,
exactly.
There was no Sunday last week.
There was no Sunday last week. All right, next game. Colts, Jags, and I got the Jags at 2.5, but I forgot to post it on the website, so I actually posted it at 3 when it was at 3 last night. So yeah, I like the Jags here. It's I mean, the Colts have won 2 in a row. The Jags haven't won a game yet. And the Jags own the Colts. I feel like everyone's in the world is going to be betting Jacksonville here, but how could you not? The injuries are just nuts. It's at 3.5 now. Jesus. I mean, it would still be the side for me. Obviously, I don't like it as much as 2.5, but the Colts injuries on the defensive front are crazy. I mean, the Colts have they've still done somewhat of a decent job against the run. They're actually like pretty middle of the pack in terms of run defense, but this Jags run game weirdly efficient. They've been running the ball on everybody. So even though the Colts have been putting up decent numbers against the run, I still expect ETN to make some plays. But really, the matchup for Trevor Lawrence couldn't be more perfect. I mean, this Colts defense is missing DeForest Buckner, Abukum, and Kwity Paye. All 3 of those guys are out. The front 7 is decimated. And also, they're missing Kenny Moore. They're missing Juju Brents. They might even be missing Womack, who's another corner. As far as the pass rush and the coverage goes for Indianapolis, they're absolutely decimated. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going to have time to throw in the pocket against a battered Colts secondary, against a Colts pass defense that's been really shaky. It's a beautiful spot for him. Not to mention the Jags are 9-0 against the spread in their last 9 home games against the Colts. They've owned the Colts. A path to this bet getting ruined. Joe Flacco pieces apart a Jags secondary that isn't very good. I mean, I suppose it's fathomable. And also Trevor Lawrence just shitting the bed beyond belief, which is also somewhat realistic as well. But on paper, I feel like Jags should win this one in blowout fashion.
Yeah. So they could.
The 2.5 receiving yards I got on Friday night. Minus 115 on BetMGM. He has just been an absolute.
He's muted.
I know he's unmuted now. The first part of his thing where he poked fun at me,
right,
that was muted.
Okay.
Now he's unmuted for the part where he's actually talking his bet. Yes, basically, Jabba, there's a part in your mic where there's like a pickup where there's like a feedback thing where I have to mute you or else it's like the people are gonna hear it. That's why I had you muted for a bit. I'm sorry. There's a lot trying to produce the show. My bad.
All good. No worries. I made fun of Prop Beaver. That's all you need to know. So my best bet in this game, I do lead in the Jags. I think they win and cover. But it's one of my favorite player props. Brian Thomas over 52.5 receiving yards, minus 115 on BetMGM. The first leg of my ladder parlay, which we hit last week at plus 500, he's over in 2 of 4 starts, but his 2 misses was his NFL debut. The second one was in that 47-10 blowout debacle against the Bills. 9 targets in each of the last 2 games, 21.3% target share. This guy is averaging over 16 yards per catch. He's a big play guy. And the Colts, like Kyle mentioned, I mean, they're just completely banged up. And even before they were banged up, they still sucked in the secondary. Colts defense giving up the 23rd most yards to wide receivers. They've already given up 117 to Nico, 62 to Dobbs, 117 to Odunze, 78 to DJ Moore, 113 to Pickens. I mean, it's been bad. And Doug Peterson came out and said they want to keep feeding him the ball. I think this number is too low. I think Brian Thomas is getting underrated right now as one of the best rookie wide receivers out there. I think he's an absolute stud. So I got over 52.5 receiving yards. And then the ladder parlay, I have him for 70+ receiving yards as well. And then we'll talk about the second leg later, but that's going to be a plus 550. But that's one of my favorite player props of the weekend.
Okay.
Yes, and I'll just follow it up. I'm on the same thing. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., I could not stop glazing the guy coming into this year. I think he's absolutely fantastic. And Colts are getting demolished by wide receivers on the outside right now. They've allowed one to hit the mark in every single game this season. I mean, week 1, Nico Collins, 117 yards. Week 2, Romeo Dobbs, 62 yards with Malik Willis at quarterback. Week 3, we saw Odunze and Moore both hit the mark, 112 and 78 yards. And then last week, Pickens with 113. I mean, BTJ has proven he is ready for the NFL level just 4 games into his career. Look at the last 3 games. He's averaging 76 yards per game on just 4 receptions per game. And that's despite seeing 7 targets per game. So he's getting the volume here. He's just not getting I guess, the catch rate, and that's due to Trevor Lawrence's inefficiencies. But he's getting a beautiful matchup here. And what I really like is the cover 3 rate that the Colts use. They're top 5 in that. BTJ has murdered cover 3. Insane 3.97 yards per route run. If the weather wasn't a concern here, I would have taken this to the Ladder City, but I truly love the spot for BTJ to continue flourishing here. Another thing that I like, Trevor Lawrence's pass yards line is at 234.5. He hasn't even sniffed that line through his 4 starts this season. So it seems the books feel confident he has success through the air here. Love BTJ to keep it going here.
Brian Thomas Jr. for both of you guys.
I will say, someone just put in the comments, why aren't we talking Jags Colts over? That was actually almost the best bet of mine too. I think we see points in this one. I think what do we have now, guys? Light rain. That is a problem, but I don't see much wind. I think we're going to be fine, but I think we see some points.
I don't know if the Colts can necessarily contribute to that with Flacco. No, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, the Jags have a good run defense. I think sometimes we get a little bit overzealous with these quarterbacks like Andy Dalton and Joe Flacco. They're like, oh, they're going to piece him up. Where it's like, I don't know. I know Steve looks like Joe Flacco, but
I know the chat's loving it.
It doesn't mean Joe Flacco's any good. All right, next game.
He is one handsome man, I'll tell you.
I don't know. I think Joe Flacco's a hell of a lot better than Anthony Richardson, and that Jags pass defense is
You think Joe
quite
Flacco's
pissed.
better than Anthony Richardson?
Right now in his current state? Yeah, dude. A. Richardson is struggling quite a bit. And I know he's quite bad against man coverage. I think for this matchup, Joe Flacco is a lot better.
Okay, so for this matchup, I can hear that.
Yeah, I'm not really
But you know that
pleased.
Anthony Richardson's like a crazy athlete, right? And Joe Flacco's like 115
but for
years
this
old.
matchup, I'm not pleased that I bet the Jaguars. Seeing that Richardson practiced 2 days in a row, me getting all horned up, and then it's Flacco out there.
Oh, so Richardson practicing got you horned up.
I'm not proud to say that, but yeah.
You did say it. All right, Bills Texans next. Steve, do you want to go first on this one? Because I don't know how I feel about this game.
I've gone back and forth. So quick trend, Bills have gone under in 14 of the last 18 road games. I lean Bills money line. I just think the Texans seem off. There's just something wrong about them. The O-line hasn't been the same. And one of the big deals or big issues that they've had is last year they were making big play after big play after big play. They're not getting those splash plays. And I think defense have kind of adjusted to it, making them work kind of underneath more. Tank Dell being out for some of it obviously doesn't help. Lack of a run game doesn't help. I think Josh Allen and the Bills find a way to win. I haven't placed the bet yet, but Josh Allen coming off just an absolute embarrassing loss. So I like the Bears. It sucks that Khalil Shakir is out for that part of it, but what it doesn't suck for is my best bet. Curtis Samuel over 27.5 receiving yards. This is crazy low for a starting slot wide receiver for the Bills this weekend. So like I said, Shakir is out. I expect Samuel's snap count to just go through the roof on this one. The only other big weapon they have is really Dalton Kincaid, but the Texans do a very good job at taking away tight ends with their safety. So Texans have struggled in the secondary this year. And actually, I don't know any numbers, but I know Stingley's not even playing well for them. So there's just a lot of guys kind of underperforming for Houston right now. These guys have already given up huge games to, all these receivers, Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk, Alec Pierce, et cetera, et cetera. They've given up a lot of big plays. And honestly, I don't need many big plays. I just need 28 yards. I think it's ridiculously low. I think Samuel gets the job done here. He's got talent. He's a talented receiver. People were high on him before the year. Then he had a little injury here and there at the beginning of the year. So I think the books are kind of sleeping on this number a little bit. So give me Curtis Samuel. I put a half unit on it because it's obviously something he hasn't done all year, and it's a little speculative. But I like Samuel over, and then I lean the Bills on the money line. I also like the under if we have to bet a total, but
That's what I'm on. Prop Beaver, you have anything for this one?
Yeah, I have CJ Stroud under 35.5 longest completion. The Bills have just been so goddamn good at limiting explosive plays thus far. I mean, going into that game against Lamar Jackson, they hadn't allowed a completion of 15 plus air yards. You heard that correctly. 15 plus air yards. That is fucking insane. So I mean, they're whatever it is. I mean, the scheming, the personnel. I mean, honestly, I didn't even really think it was the personnel. All I heard going into this offseason is, how is the Bills' pass defense going to hold up? There's no Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. I mean, fucking, they have been fantastic thus far. So I really don't want to hear it. This Bills' pass defense has been arguably one of the best in the league thus far, and now they're going to be without Taylor Rapp for this one. So you may be saying, wow, you want to back them even still against one of the deep ball passers in the NFL? Yes, I do. Cole Bishop is his replacement. He's a very capable one. He was drafted in the second round out of Utah. And I think it's the scheme. I think it's Babbage and McDermott's scheme here more so than the talent that's keeping Bills opposing quarterbacks under his line. I mean, through 4 games, the longest completions allowed by the Bills are 26, 24, 21, and 24 yards. This is 35 and a half, for Christ's sakes. I mean, this is a 10-yard difference we're catching here. And now this is a unit that gets back arguably its best cornerback with Teron Johnson, which is pivotal with the Texans trio of talented receivers. Despite being arguably the best deep ball passer in all of football last year, CJ Stroud. I mean, he was second or better in yards per attempt, completion percentage, and passer rating. Stroud was only 7-10 to the over last season. This season, Stroud is having a lot of trouble with the deep ball, 23rd or worse in yards per attempt, completion percentage, and rating on deep balls. He's only 1-3 to the over, and you wonder who his over came against? The Colts pass defense, who were just shitting on like 2 seconds ago. The Bills are top 10 in zone rate, and we see Stroud's yards per attempt decrease by a whole 2 yards per zone this season. On top of that, the Bills are also 4th in too high safety frequency. We see Stroud's ADOT decrease by 2 yards, the yards per attempt decrease by a whole yard, and that completion percentage decreased by 8%. So, yeah, I just think we just got to keep riding with longest completion percentage unders against the Bills. I mean, they have been a wagon thus far.
Yeah, I'm on the under. I bet this one super early in the week. I actually think this was the first bet I placed, back on Monday. When you place the bets early in the week, sometimes it works out great where you're like, oh, I'm sitting on 3 points a CLV, and then sometimes when you obviously as the week progresses, you're taking in more information, looking at. I'm not on the Bills, dude.
Oh, what'd you say?
The under.
Okay.
And you're taking in more information, and I don't know if I like it quite as much, but I do have this bet down, and it would be my pick for the game. These two teams, obviously, you look at this game and you're like, wow, Josh Allen versus CJ Stroud, right? Nico Collins, Diggs, revenge game for Diggs, like all kinds of offensive firepower comes to mind. I'm sure all the marketing for this game this week was just offensive players. But in reality, I don't know how I feel about either of these offenses right now. Houston's offense hasn't looked good. Straight up, like Prop Beaver talked about, CJ Stroud pretty much bottom 10 in the NFL, throwing the ball deep, and he was so good at it last year. The run game has disappeared for the Texans. In the opener, Joe Mixon got it going. Since then, they've been arguably the worst rushing attack in the NFL. Texans offense doesn't look right now, and the Bills defense, elite against the pass. The way to score on this Bills defense is to run the ball. Not even sure if Houston's capable of doing that. And then on the other side, for the first 3 weeks, obviously the Bills offense looked so explosive, but then they finally played a defense. I mean, the Bills opened up their season against Jacksonville, Miami, whose defense, that secondary, that's another bad pass defense, and the Cardinals. Then they finally played a defense in Baltimore, and specifically finally played a defense that can take the run away. And we saw what this Bills offense looked like when they can't average 4 or 5 yards to carry on first down. I think Houston's defense is capable of putting them in similar situations. They were one of the best run defenses in the NFL last year. Haven't gotten off to quite the same start, but I think that Houston defensive front is able to keep Joe Brady from ripping off those 5-yard runs on first down. And we've seen Josh Allen look like a completely different quarterback when he's put into third and long situations. So even though you look at this game, elite quarterback, superstar versus superstar Diggs, and all these offensive weapons, I actually like the defenses here, and I think it's going to be low scoring. So I'm on the under. Next game.
Not to mention, sometimes you see the Bills, if they do move the ball, they get some really long drives. I mean, they get short passes running.
Joe Brady's like 4th or 5th in run frequency and like 31st in pace. That's what Joe Brady wants to do with this Bills offense. Run the ball, shoot 35 seconds. Run the ball, shoot 35 seconds. That's exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, even the passes are essentially just rushes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He rocks the defense to sleep and waits to take a deep shot with Josh Allen. The problem is the deep shots become predictable when you're at 3rd and 9.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up is Baltimore at Cincinnati. So I'm not that I don't like my bet. I'm confident that I'm on the side I want to be on. I didn't realize that everyone was going to be taking the Bengals here. I think the Baltimore is still the quote-unquote public side, but I feel like everyone I talk to is taking Cincinnati. I'm on the Bengals. Very simply, catching points at home with what I think might be the best passing attack in the NFL right now. I also have the money line if you want to put the second graphic up, but I mean, no big deal. People understand. So yeah, I'm getting points at home with what might be the best passing attack in the NFL against a pass defense that hasn't looked good. Baltimore, even after that Buffalo game, still looking like a bottom 10 pass defense here. So look, on the offensive side of the ball, the Ravens are going to be able to run it. The Bengals defense is struggling against the run. The Baltimore, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, they're going to be able to run the ball. I actually don't love the matchup for Lamar Jackson throwing the ball, though. So the Bengals, they do run some man coverage. They're 10th in man coverage frequency this year. Lamar's been terrible trying to throw the ball against man coverage. Also, Bengals run a lot of single high safety looks. Lamar's been terrible against that as well. So the Bengals, I mean, if I'm Lou Anarumo, I'm kind of coming out just putting one deep, some man coverage, some press coverage, forcing Lamar Jackson to make the throws 25 yards down the field. He did make some in the Buffalo game, kind of caught McDermott off guard with that. I don't think McDermott was expecting John Harbaugh to come out and take deep shots because they had been so bad at it. I think the Bengals are going to dare him to do it and do whatever they can to take the run. I'm not saying the Bengals are going to make stops here. I'm just saying I think Lou Anarumo has some things up his sleeve to make him uncomfortable. But regardless, I'm getting the home team with a red-hot passing attack. And I want to ask you guys something, seriously. And if you're on the Ravens, I want you to look at this objectively. What do you think this line would be if the Chiefs don't get that pass interference call? So let me paint you a picture. Say Mahomes doesn't get that pass interference call. The Bengals win that game in Arrowhead. Right now, these two teams are 2-2. Yeah, the Bengals lost an ugly one to Washington and the Patriots. The Ravens lost an ugly one at home to the Raiders. These two teams would be 2-2. The Bengals would be the only team to have beaten the Chiefs, and they did it in Arrowhead. I think Cincinnati might be laying. I think a single pass interference call is moving this line 3 points, 3.5 points, in my opinion. So, the line's off, in my opinion.
Just real quick to say to that also, what if Likely's toe wasn't out also? You know, the kind of thing. Would that change anything if they both won? I don't know. But, yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think the Bengals are getting enough respect. I don't have the Bengals on the side, but I do have two bets that I absolutely love. Two quick trends that are pretty huge. Bengals have gone over now in 8 of the last 10. 6 of the last 7 meetings between these teams have gone over. But here's a crazy one. Lamar Jackson is 24-5 against the spread as a favorite of 3 or less. That's just absolutely crazy. But my best bet in this game, both teams to score 20-plus points. I absolutely love this. Minus 125 on DraftKings. I almost went with the Bengals team total over 23.5 on their own. But I just think both offenses move the ball. If we start with the Bengals, no run game, which like Kyle kind of mentioned, doesn't really matter in this matchup. No one runs against the Ravens anyways. They have a strength on weakness here against the Ravens secondary. Ravens haven't been getting as much pressure as well. Getting Higgins back obviously has helped. This is one of the best pass games in the league. And the Bengals pass protection's actually been pretty good as well. And then the Ravens, how do they not run the ball? I know you mentioned maybe they have something up their sleeve, and it's a divisional game. They very well could. But I would be shocked if the Bengals held really anybody to under 20 points. But especially a Ravens offense that's been playing a lot better lately with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Bengals allowing 145.5 rush yards per game. Really missing DJ Reader. Ravens good on third down. Ravens scored 20-plus points in all 4 games. I expect a lot of points in this one. To get both teams to score 20 or more, and that's all I need to get this one. I just absolutely love that bet. I like the over in the total game too. But my second one, T. Higgins over 4.5 receptions. I know a lot of people on his yards, but if you can get plus money, and I did on Friday night, plus 116 for this one, he was peppered with 10 targets last week for 6 catches. Like we mentioned, they are going to throw the ball an absolute crap ton in this game. I mean, they are. Joe Burrow's pass attempts line is like 35.5. I can't imagine Higgins not getting 5 catches here.
Yeah,
he's a guy.
What's that? No, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. He's actually a guy who's been running some shorter routes as well. As ADOT's 9.9. It was 13 last season, which can help with those short, quick passes as well. I just think they're going to throw so much. I don't know why this was plus money at 4.5 catches, but he's also done well against Baltimore. 7 or more catches in 3 of the last 4 games versus them. Love Higgins to get 5+. Love both teams to score 20+ in this one.
Someone said, Sauce, do you think Joe B's going to tear it up today? Well, yeah, I mean, since week 2, last 3 games, Bengals have been the best passing attack in the NFL, and Baltimore's might be a bottom 10 pass defense. I mean, if you really look at Baltimore's season, they played great against Buffalo. Other than that, I mean, Minshew was piecing them up. Mahomes pieced them up. And honestly, looking back, that was Mahomes' only good game this year was against Baltimore. So this Ravens pass defense really hasn't looked good, except that one game against Buffalo. And it's definitely a sell high spot. I mean, both of these teams have looked really shaky at times this season. It seems only Cincinnati's getting punished here in the line for looking shaky. I mean, we forgot that the Ravens lost at home to the Raiders. I guess that didn't happen anymore. So, all right, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I thought you already went.
No, I actually don't have a bet in this game, so that's fine. If anything, I would probably try to fade Joe Burrow in some way. I don't really like the matchup for him. I mean, I feel like people are remember the fact that this guy lit up the Ravens with Martindale. I think it was like 2 years ago, the first year that Chase was there. I mean, I believe he had, I think it was like 900 total plus passing yards against them. I think it was like 8 TDs. But when McDonald started going in there and he started facing this team, started struggling dramatically against them. I don't know. This Ravens pass defense has shown me a lot the last 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, they really did struggle out the gates, but they looked a lot better against Dak Prescott. I mean, sure, Dak Prescott was able to get stuff against him in the second half against some softer coverages, but he did jack shit against them in the first half. And then Josh Allen, who was looking like an MVP going into that matchup, did nothing against them. Absolutely nothing. So I think the Ravens pass defense is actually starting to catch a groove right now. He's struggled against them in the past thus far. And then on top of that, who is Joe Burrow building this passing momentum against? The Commanders and the Panthers pass defense? Congratulations. So the problem is I just didn't really see much value in the lines in the spot. I mean, he is at home where he's better. So I just didn't get to anything. But yeah, I don't know. That's my lean there. Fade Joe Burrow in some way. But I don't have anything there. So yeah,
you're a hater.
Sorry.
Get it done, Joey. Next up.
You a Burrow hater, Beaver? Or you like him?
Somewhat.
I'm not a big Burrow guy either.
Not a Burrow hater, but I don't like the spot as many people do for him today. I'm not seeing the offensive firepower.
Next up, Browns, Washington.
How is the Ravens a bottom 10 secondary? That's fucking crazy.
I wouldn't say a bottom 10 secondary, maybe a bottom 10 pass defense, but the lack of pass rush would be a big part of that, not the secondary.
You'll need to.
I think Mike McDonald made their secondary look a lot better than
the recency bias is obscene.
The recency bias, I'm talking about this year without Mike McDonald.
Okay.
The Seahawks are looking like a top 5 secondary now. Or is it maybe just Mike McDonald's a hell of a play caller?
Lots of season left.
Eat a dick, Prop Beaver. Next up, Cleveland on the road in Washington. I am on the Browns in this one, +3. And, dude, this one's either going to be painful or I'm going to be the man for it. Jaden Daniels is looking like a problem. That being said, the Commanders' defense might be the worst in football, so we do have to acknowledge that. And the thing is, Deshaun Watson's looked terrible this year, and the Browns' offense has been so bad. But their problem is very easily diagnosable. The offensive line play has been next level, record-breakingly bad. The Browns' offensive line has been so bad. Deshaun Watson, one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the NFL. They're generating no push in the run game. I mean, all of the Browns' offensive problems can be diagnosed by pointing at one section, the offensive line. Well, it looks like everyone's back. I mean, they're getting both of their offensive tackles back, it looks like, and their center. All three of those guys who have been missing the time so far this season are now practicing and in line to play today. So 3 starters back on the offensive line. I think they're going to get Ford the ball. We're going to see them run it. We're going to see Deshaun Watson with time in the pocket, something we haven't seen all year. And look, if there's one defense that could figure it out, it's these pass rushers here in Cleveland. So maybe we see Jaden Daniels come back down to earth. We've seen a really dramatic shift in the line here. Obviously, the look-ahead line was Cleveland laying a field goal. Now they're catching one. We've seen Jaden Daniels look elite as an underdog, right? We've seen him look elite as an underdog. A little bit of a different situation here at home laying points. The only time we've seen something like this is the Giants game. And let's not forget, Jaden Daniels loses that game if the Giants have a kicker. I mean, right? That's the only time we've seen Washington as a favorite. The Giants should have beaten them outright. They decided to play the game without a kicker. So I think laying a whole field goal or even more than a field goal at home, we're looking at Jaden Daniels through a different lens now. So I'm on Cleveland. I know everyone's going to be against me here.
Browns have gone under their team total in every game this year. It's at 20.5 right now, but obviously this is the Commanders defense. Real quick to what Kyle just said, that the Browns O-line, if they fix that, they're good. They also need to fix Deshaun Watson's arm.
And Amari Cooper's drops.
Yes, Amari Cooper's drops. They have many issues on offense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe this is the spot, but just spot-wise, you kind of got to take the Browns, right? I mean, all of a sudden, this is a sell-high spot for the Commanders. But I'm going to bring you to the Jaden Daniels portion of the show. I have 2 Jaden Daniels bets. First one over 9.5 rush attempts. I know, really exciting. Over this in 3 of 4 games this year. Only miss was last week against the Cardinals because he didn't need to. They ran it 29 times down their throat with Brian Robinson and McNichols. He has 2 games already of 16 and 12 carries. His rush share is 34.3%. We all know Jaden Daniels. But what I love about the matchup, Browns play man-to-man. Why is that good? Because when you play man-to-man, everyone turns their back. That's when quarterbacks take off. And they also are going to get more pressure. I think this is going to be the best defense that Jaden Daniels and the Commanders have actually faced this year. They faced some cupcakes so far. The Browns are going to get more pressure, almost 40% pressure. And because of that, he's going to take off. You've seen it before. Whenever that pocket collapses, he takes off. So between that and man-to-man, I love the matchup. And if you really need it, maybe you get a kneel down at the end of the game or 2, and that also counts as a rush attempt. But I'm not counting on that, obviously. I like him to go over 9.5 rush attempts. I also like his over rushing yards as well. And then here we go again, 2 for 2. Let's make it 3 for 3. Jaden Daniels, anytime touchdown. I don't know why they keep giving this out at plus money. I just don't get it. He has 4 rushing touchdowns through 4 games. He's on pace for 17 touchdowns. Yep, did the math for you. He has the same red zone rush share as the number 1 running back, Brian Robinson, 36.7%. If you watch him play, I don't really need to explain it. This guy is a stud. He knows how to find the end zone. He uses his legs. They have plays just for him, obviously. I like Daniels to score another touchdown while they keep giving me this great plus money. And I also like him to just run the ball a lot, over 9.5 rush attempts. I think he's going to have to get a little bit more creative in this game versus a better defense than what they're used to.
You want to play the song for the anytime touchdown?
Yeah.
Anytime, touching it down. Scoring it, running around. It's the anytime, touchdown, scoring. Anytime you need touchdown. Yeah.
By the way, Aaron Rodgers just left oh no, he's coming back in. Rodgers is coming back in the game. Roughing the kicker saves the drive. So Rodgers is back in the game now. Anyway, yeah, I'm on Cleveland. Prop Beaver, do you have any thoughts for this one?
Wow. Thought he just died. Honestly, wouldn't have cared. This Jetsy was dead anyways. So the Browns in this game, I like Amari Cooper 50+ receiving yards and Deshaun Watson over.
You were just talking shit about
what?
Oh man, you were just talking shit when I was like the Browns offense could be improved here with the offensive line. You were like,
yeah, I was talking shit about your comment because no offense, it was fucking terribly wrong. What are you talking about? If the Browns line is fixed and everything else is fixed, dude, how about Amari Cooper catch a fucking football? How about that? And how about Deshaun Watson make an accurate throw? Those are the things that need to be fixed in this offense. Just the offensive line like holding up.
I'm just saying when your quarterback's getting pressured on 47% of his dropbacks, it's hard to get into a rhythm.
Okay, but you said there was one thing that needs to happen, then everything else comes to that. That's what I was saying. Okay, Amari Cooper. If you bet me with him week 2 against Jacksonville, I mean, it was a disgrace. I mean, the guy could have do anything, but guess what? Disgraces can become miracles, and I think that happens today. He's under 3 or 4 games thus far. He's averaging 37 yards per game on 9.3 targets per game. The volume's off the charts, and we could blame Deshaun Watson, but he needs to catch football. As we said, 7 drops in the last 3 games, and we know Amari Cooper's not the trash. Before the season, Cooper was 19-4 to the over with 8+ targets. He has that in each of these games, and on top of that, last week he had an 80-yard touchdown called back due to a penalty. He's criminally due. He's going to face a Commanders secondary that's not only one of the worst in football, but has allowed 31 receivers to hit this mark in the previous 19 games before MHJ was held to 45 yards last week. The only reason that was the case, I don't know, literally felt like the Commanders gave up. If the Cardinals did, no, because the Cardinals gave up. If they did not roll over and die, he would have cashed that, but that wasn't the case. A receiver has hit 55+ yards in each of those games. The leading receivers in those 19 games average 113.2 yards per game. I think Amari Cooper hits this line. On top of that, Deshaun Watson, he's only hit this mark 5 times in his last 12 starts. He's even worse on the road. He's gone under in 5 straight. Why are we betting at plus 170? Well, even including Kyler's miss, the last 15 to 17 quarterbacks to face Commanders have gone over the mark, including 7 straight at FedEx, averaging 3 touchdowns per game. So for a half unit, I think it's worth the risk to play at plus 170.
All right, so you believe in the Browns offense because they're going to have time to throw and the offensive line's improved. Got it. Next. Raiders, Broncos in Mile High. I've had my finger on the trigger here of Raiders +3 all week. Just been looking at it, contemplating it, thinking about it. I still haven't pulled it. I still haven't bet it. But tell me you're not looking at this like Bo Nix -3. Look, I know Denver's defense looks really good. And I think it might be real. I don't think it's a sell high spot in the Denver defense after the game in the rain, right, against the Jets. I think that defense has looked pretty good all year, and they might have a borderline top 10 defense here in Denver. That being said, I mean, we're due for a pick Nix here. We could see maybe a couple pick Nixes in this game. So it would only be Raiders for me. Like I said, I haven't pulled the trigger, but my finger has been on it all week.
Wow. That's tough. You like some ugly teams, huh? Dolphins and Raiders, huh? Just parlay those.
I like Dolphins. This one's more like I'm considering Raiders. Haven't bet it. I actually bet the Dolphins.
Gotcha. So in this one, I absolutely love the team. This is my second favorite team total on the board. It's the Raiders team total under 16.5. I don't see any way they score or move the ball here. They're averaging 19.5 points per game, 20th in total yards. They've just been horrendous running the ball. I mean, it's been bad. 4th lowest yards per attempt, 3.6 yards per carry. I think it's the Alexander Madison show this weekend, not Zamir White. But passing offense, obviously no Devontae Adams, missing possibly 2 offensive linemen. In their 2 road games, they scored 10 against the Chargers, 26 against Baltimore. If you remember that game, there were turnovers. They had 13 going in the 4th quarter. And now they're facing this Broncos defense. I mean, maybe I'm buying into it, but my goodness, they've held 3 straight opponents under this. That is absolutely crazy. 13 to the Steelers, 7 to the Bucks, 9 to the Jets, allowing the 3rd fewest passing yards per game, 5th highest quarterback pressure. They've locked up all number 1 receivers, but guess what? There really isn't even a number 1 receiver to lock up. Like, when you look at this matchup, you don't even know where's Surtain going to play. Like, does it matter? Is he going to shadow Jacoby Myers? You know, it really, there's no one there. Run defense has been much better. Just held Breece Hall to 4 yards on 10 carries. Yes, 4 yards, 10 carries. Did not say that backwards. Held the Bucs running back duo to 14 carries for 54 yards or 55 yards outside of 1 big run. I think the Raiders are going to be lucky. We talked about this before the show. The one thing you worry about with low totals is you got to be careful for those pick sixes, fumbles, or just really good possessions that hand them points. As long as that doesn't happen and Bo Nix does not pull over Will Levis. Pick Nix does not look like Will Levis. I think they stay under for the 4th straight time for their opponent. And I did not give this bet to them before the show. I forgot about it, but I also love Will Lutz to go over 1.5 field goals. I absolutely love it. Raiders give up a ton. They'll get some yards. The Broncos have only scored 4 touchdowns all season. They struggle in the red zone. I love Lutz to go over 1.5 field goals too, but
Prop Beaver?
Yeah, I'm on the same exact bet as him. I love this one. Even the A-Dog, Mr. Andy in the office, was talking about this one with me. One of his secret bets that he fails to give out to anybody. Yeah, I love this team total. I mean, this Raiders team is in complete disarray. I mean, everybody was fighting for Antonio Pierce to be the coach. Seems like nobody likes him anymore. So they were celebrating the Berlin Wall being torn down.
Well, he liked an Instagram post.
Yeah, it seems like he was liking. Now he's liking Instagram post of his teams being traded. I mean, this is insane now. It seems like he was the players' coach.
I thought that was a joke when I first heard it.
No, it's not a joke. I mean, the players' coach is now alienating his own players. Truly insane here. Yeah, I really like this team total under. I mean, Jabbo nailed it on the head. This Broncos defense is awesome. Week 1, they faced this Seahawks team that, I mean, I've been raving about all year. I love the Seahawks team, and that offense showed out week 1, even with all the safeties. But let's look at since they played that Seahawks offense, right? So since week 2, this Broncos defense sits 1st in EPA per play, 2nd in success rate, and they've allowed 13, 7, and 9 points. Now we got Minshew coming into Denver, facing a defense that runs man coverage, I believe, at the second or third highest rate in the NFL. He's a lot worse for his man coverage. And now he's going to be without his best man coverage beater, Devontae Adams, taking away better looks from guys like Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. Now Jacoby Myers is going to have to get the looks of Patrick Surtain, or Trey Tucker is going to have to get those looks. I mean, that sucks right there. And on top of that, Alexander Mattison, who, I mean, we normally make fun of for not being that effective, he has been actually incredibly effective this year. I believe he has like 5.1 yards per carry, but that's been as a supplementary back. As the lead back, as we saw last year, Alexander Mattison is not an effective back, and I just think that's going to be the case this week as well. So, I think that the Broncos, hopefully Bo Nix doesn't put us in a bad spot here, but I think the Broncos defense really shuts it down again, and as long as Bo Nix doesn't screw us over here, they keep him under this total. And then my other bet in this one, really quickly, I got a tackle and assist prop, and this is probably my shortest tackle and assist prop explanation of all time here because it's really straightforward. Go with Trevon Moehrig over 4.5 tackles and assists. I mean, we've seen safeties feast on the Broncos, racking up the tackles. Week 4, Clark and Adams, 7-11 tackles. Whitehead and Nazeen, 6-8. Week 2, 9-7. Week 1, 12-6. We have both safeties cashing this line every single week. We just need one to hit this line, and they're cashing alt lines. We got guys cashing 6+. We need 5 in this one. And we got Moehrig cashing this in 3 straight. He's been significantly more profitable on the road over his last 8 of 11 on the road, averaging 6 compared to 4 at home. And he cashed his last trip to Denver. His running mate, Marcus Epps, he's not active for this one. I got to play it. So, yeah, Moehrig.
Hold on. The thing is that you guys need to watch out for here with Gardner Minshew. He plays in this. I'm not saying this makes sense. He plays his best games against great defenses. His best game this year was at Baltimore. Last year, his best games, Steelers, at Tennessee, Cleveland, at Baltimore. Those were his best games last year. Oh, at Houston, too. His best, if you look at his 6 best games in the last 2 years, they're all against good defenses. So he's got a little bit of the Grimace Mets in him.
I got to say, the double standard the comments give me is... I'm starting to get a little sick of it. You could talk for an hour and a half. Nobody says a thing. I talk for a little bit. This guy talks forever. Shut the fuck up already.
They're unreasonable.
Unreasonable. Truly pigs.
Cardinals 49ers is next. I think that magic that was a couple years ago when the 49ers as home favorites kind of defied all the trends, right? Like even when it was a spot, you should take the underdog. The 49ers at home would still cover as big favorites. That's kind of dead. Second half of last season, the 49ers really weren't covering as home favorites. So it would only be Cardinals for me here. And there are angles for it. 49ers have struggled against the run this year. Cardinals can run the ball. Granted, that was the case last year, and the 49ers beat the shit out of them twice. But that is a fact. The Cardinals can run the ball, and the 49ers have struggled to defend the run. So look, the truth is about this 49ers team, they really haven't looked good since week 1. Their only win since week 1 is New England, and I keep saying that's not a real NFL team, the Patriots right now. So that was the 49ers' only win is New England since week 1 against the Jets. They really haven't looked great. Yeah, they've been injured, but still not fully healthy. They're getting better though. I mean, it's tough because the Cardinals really haven't looked great either. They scored 27 combined points in their last 2 weeks, but over a touchdown. Division game with a 49ers team that's perceived to be elite but hasn't really looked elite. It would have to be Cardinals for me here at 7.5. I haven't bet it yet. I kind of want to hear what these guys say, but it would only be Arizona for me.
I'm with you on that. I have not placed the bet yet, but it's got to be Cardinals plus 7.5. There's no way you can take this 49ers team. But then my eye test says, how are the Cardinals going to stop them? I'm not exactly sure, but what I will say is divisional games are different. You saw the Rams, what they did to the 49ers. They are just different. They know how to play against their divisional opponents. 7.5 when you get in division. For a team like Kyle said, I don't think the Niners have really just looked all like they should be looking or like they've looked in the past. And just a quick reminder, underdogs of 6+ points this season, they are 14-2-1 against the spread. That is 87.5%. It's absolutely insane. It's got to be Cardinals. Cardinals looked bad last week. They couldn't even score 20. I had a bet for them to score 20 points against the Commanders defense. But you know what? This is the bounce back spot where I think they can keep it close. And even if they're down 10, they can get a backdoor cover at the end of the game. 49ers got a big game in 4 days against the best team in the NFL. Also,
damn right. Look ahead spot.
Yep. So it's Cardinals plus 7.5. But I'm like Kyle, I haven't quite pulled the trigger on a bet, but that's the way I got to go.
Yeah, but what he's talking about, his biggest game of the season for the 49ers is in about 72 hours on Thursday against the Seattle.
Versus the best team in the
That's
league.
a big game for them. I don't know about the other team, though.
The fuck? What do you got, bro?
I mean, when the other team's just sleepwalking through the competition. Yeah, I don't got nothing for this game. I mean, Kyler Murray, sorry ass QB. I mean, good one week, bad the next. No, I mean, seriously though, I truly have nothing for this game. I think this line is pretty as our friend Lindy would say, I think this line is perfectly efficient, and I have nothing on this game. So.
Does Lindy say shit like that?
He has said that for baseball before. Yeah, and I just didn't really like any of the player props in this one. With a lot of the 49ers pieces moving in and out of the lineup, so kind of waiting for those to settle back in, and yeah, we'll move on to the next game.
Next. All right.
We have a disagreement on this one.
I kind of want to bet it. I think it's.
You should bet it because I mean you like it so
all right,
much.
I'll
go bet
first
it then.
Because these guys, when they go, they're gonna cloud the shit. So hear me out. So I uploaded a YouTube video earlier in the week. I said the bet for this game, my pick for this game would be Seattle -6. At the time, it was unclear whether Neighbors and Singletary would play. Since then, Neighbors and Singletary both ruled out. The line's only moved a point, which is, I think, a little suspicious as it is, because Neighbors and Singletary has been the two most important offensive weapons for the Giants. But never mind that. I'm not saying the movement is suspicious. Never mind that. I just thought it was worth mentioning. Tell me that this just didn't turn into the biggest look-ahead spot of all time for the Seahawks. They play the 49ers in 3 days, 4 days. The biggest game of the year is in 4 days. And now this game against the Giants all of a sudden is looking like a bullshit game because they don't have their weapons. This just turned into a look-ahead spot for the Seahawks. And Daniel Bones is, oh, man. I want to bet the Giants so bad. I want to bet the Giants so bad. Everyone's going to be betting the Seahawks here. The entire planet.
Mm-hmm. And they're right. And they're right to do so.
Go ahead, Beaver. I'll let you go.
No, I mean, Dable, I don't know if he has plays in his book written for other people not named Malik Neighbors. So, I mean, as long as he has those, I mean, simply put, this Giants offense is nothing without Malik Neighbors. Nothing. Let's not forget who Daniel Jones is without Malik Neighbors. A dog shit quarterback. The quarterback that when we were making the preseason show, right, when we were doing the Vikings things, we said, all right, so what are his QB rankings last year when blitzed and when not blitzed? Oh, shit, they're the same rankings. He's 38th out of 39th quarterbacks in all of these rankings because he's that fucking pissed. He's not a good quarterback. He's simply that bad. He's just as bad when blitzed, when not blitzed. He's a terrible quarterback. Malik Neighbors gets so wide open that he makes all the pieces around him look good. I mean, he literally increased Wan'Dale Robinson's yards per reception by like double the amount just because of the space that this dude creates. It's not going to be there this time around. And without Devin Singletary, who has it sounds crazy, but he has revolutionized his game this year. It sounds nuts, but he's breaking tackles at an extremely high rate compared to what he has in the past, and he hasn't even been that productive this year. Now you got Tyrone Tracy, who everybody was talking up in the preseason. He has looked god awful thus far. I mean, you could look at the yards per carry. You could look at the expected metrics. He has been fucking terrible. And that O-line for the Giants, if you're looking at it from a pass protection standpoint, it's bad. It is still really, really bad. And the Seahawks pass rush, they can bring it, and they're getting their guys back this week. Uchenna Nwosu, he's playing for the first time this season thus far. They're getting their entire defensive front back. They got guys in the secondary coming back. Julian Love revenge game, baby, against his old team, against the Giants. I mean, this is just... I mean, you wanted to take the Seahawks team total over earlier in the week. I wanted to take the Giants team total under. I think that both of those hit. Seahawks should absolutely wipe the floor with this team. You're saying that they're looking forward to the 49ers game. I still think they're pissed off about that Lions game and want to take out their revenge here. I mean, this is a young team that wants to prove that they're one of the best in the division, in the conference, every single game. And I think they go and prove something every single time they're out. I mean, Mike McDonald's different. I really think he is. I think he's going to prove to be one of the best coaches in the NFL by the time it's all said and done.
Do you at least admit that, like, spot-wise, this is beautiful for the Giants? By the way, the Giants are coming in with extra rest. The Seahawks are coming in with a look at – I'm betting this right now.
Listen, spots are cool, buddy.
Spots are cool.
You know what's funny is in my head I was like, after Beaver talks about the Seahawks, Kyle's gonna make the bet. It's just gonna force it.
Exactly what's happening right now. I'm betting it. Steve, what do you think?
All right, so my Seahawks. This is a horrendous spot, and I think in the NFL it does matter. I know as a Seahawk fan from around here, the game on Thursday means a ton. It means everything to this franchise. It means everything. And I think the look ahead spot when you're over 7. But on the other side, neighbors, one receiver usually doesn't move the needle. But if there's anybody, it's him. I mean, his target share is almost 50%. It's just absolutely insane. They have had a week to help, but my bet on this game is not the Seahawks. It is not the Giants. It is the under 42.5. So, like I said, sleepy spot at the Seahawks. Here's what they want to do. They want to get in, get the win somehow, try to stay healthy, and get the heck out. They're not trying to blow this team out. But I will say, like Beaver said, Leonard Williams is back. That's huge. Murphy is not back yet, though. I know we mentioned that everyone's back. Their first-round rookie is still not back yet, but Leonard Williams is. I think the Hawks are going to be able to run the ball, run the clock. I think we're going to get like a 23-14, 23-17 maybe type of game. I think we see an under here. I don't see the Giants scoring a lot. And I think the Seahawks kind of eventually will just have a conservative game plan, run the ball with Kenneth Walker, and get out of here with the win and work on getting healthy for that Thursday game. But this is just, like Kyle said, one of the biggest look-ahead spots you can have in the NFL. You go from Monday night primetime to the San Francisco 49ers, the defending NFC champions, a team you're chasing in your division. But without neighbors, it's hard to pull the trigger on the Giants as well. So I like the under 42.5 in this one.
And to Malik Neighbors being out, I think there's something to the fact that you see offenses actually look better when the star receiver gets taken out sometimes, because there's a lot of times where they're being forced the ball. I'm not saying that's the case here with the Giants, but a lot of times, but almost always, 100% of the time, there is an overreaction to a star receiver being out. People are like, how is this going to happen? Then it's like, oh, wow, maybe the offense is actually worse when they don't force 15 targets a game to this guy. So I like Daniel Jones to make plays, and like I said, the worst spot ever for the Seahawks lane, a full 7.
In response to you saying the Giants had extra time to prepare for this game, so did the Bills, and they looked like absolute dog shit on Sunday Night Football. So.
Yeah, but the Bills don't have Daniel Bones.
True.
You're right. They don't.
All right, next game. Packers, Rams. Strange one. I mean, I get. How do you not like the Packers? I guess you can put Packers -3 up for me. I don't really understand the line much. The Rams, their defense is terrible. If it wasn't for the Washington Commanders, I would say the Rams might have the worst defense in the NFL. They're pretty awful. The offensive line is injured. Jonah Jackson's out. Avila's out. Nopum's still out. So this Rams offensive line not only struggling, but they're hurt as hell still. I mean, last week we saw Jordan Love come back from injury against one of the best defenses in the NFL. He still threw a bunch of touchdown passes and almost came back. On paper, the Packers should score on every single drive here on the Rams. So not really understanding why it's only +3. Yeah, we did see Kyren Williams get it going a little bit last week, but that was against the Bears defense that's been vulnerable to the run. The Packers have been defending the run really well. They're 12th in the NFL in yards per carry, 9th in success rate, 2nd in EPA. The Packers have been playing great defense against the run. So I don't really expect Kyren Williams with an injured offensive line to be able to do much. Keep in mind, last week against the Bears, that was the first good game Kyren Williams had all year. For the most part this season, he's been doing nothing. So, I mean, what do you like here for the Rams? I guess you could say the Packers secondary has been a little vulnerable to the pass. So I maybe you like Stafford to make plays, but keep in mind there's no Nakua, there's no Cooper Kupp. The offensive line is probably not going to give him a ton of time. I think Green Bay should win this one by a touchdown plus. I don't understand the line, to be honest.
Can I work out with you maybe how the Packers offense struggles?
Okay.
Maybe. And this is the only way how. Now, This is weird, but so something I was looking at is that Darius Williams is going to return for this game, and that's pretty big. So the Rams got him back in the offseason. He used to play for them. He was on the Super Bowl team. Now, he was on the Jacksonville Jaguars last season, and he had a major bounce back year. That dude was fantastic last season. He missed the first 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. That team has been getting cooked on the outside thus far. And as you know, there's no Christian Watson in this game. There's no Romeo Doubs in this game. So there's not really any threat on the outside besides Dontavian Wick. If you're looking at the makeup of the offense now, you don't really have threats on the outside. You can stack the box. I think maybe they just stack the shit out of the box. I mean, they're trying to establish the run. I know. It's not even convincing. I'm not even convincing myself here. Hey, I don't understand this line at all, but I think maybe that's it. Maybe if the Packers receivers, I mean, it's really just a two-man show of fucking Dontavian Wicks and Jayden Reed there and maybe Bo Melton. And Josh Jacobs just doesn't have the most efficient running day. I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but I was kind of looking at it because I wanted to take the rushing over, and then I did the splits on the road. The dude just isn't that great of a rusher on the road. With 15 and 20 attempts on the road, he doesn't have a good hit rate. Because I want to take his over. I wanted to take his over rushing yard so bad because it's been free for every running back that faces them, but his hit rate on the road is terrible.
Steve?
I mean, you're talking 2 road games? At Tennessee.
No. Historically, my friend. Historically.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know how Beaver's going to put all these up, but buckle up. I got a lot. Give me the buckle. Give me the. I got 3 bets, but one of them's the latter. Packers team total over 24.5 is my favorite bet of the weekend. And no, my opinion doesn't change on whatever Beaver just said on how the Rams are going to stop the Packers. But I love what I saw from Love last week in the second half. That was against a very good Minnesota defense. It's all about LaFleur here, guys. They scored points with Malik Willis. This guy knows how to game plan. He knows how to score points. And obviously, you get as dreamy of a matchup as you possibly can. Rams allowing the most yards per play in the NFL. 6.36 yards, allowing a 60% touchdown percentage in the red zone to their opponents. 8th lowest pressure rate. We know they're injured. They have absolutely nobody on defense right now. They're not making tackles. They just allowed 24 to the Bears, which is, like I mentioned on my channel, I did the math. It's like 49 to 50% or 50 points to other teams when you allow 24 to the Bears. Packers will just score at will. Over 24.5. This number is too low. I think they get to 30 in this one. Second one, Josh Jacobs over 65.5 rush yards. This is also the second leg to my ladder parlay. I have Jacobs 80+ rush yards, along with that Brian Thomas 70+ for plus 550 on DraftKings. But Jacobs just over 65.5 rush yards. Rams dead last in rush yards allowed per game, 6th highest yards per carry allowed. And like Beaver kind of said, everyone goes over the running backs versus the Rams. Montgomery 91, James Conner 122. Jordan Mason, they actually did decent, 77. And then DeAndre Swift, 93 yards. DeAndre Swift sucks. He got 93 yards on him. He averaged 3 yards per carry going into that game, and then he gets almost 100 on the Rams. They're just an absolutely atrocious run defense, or defense in general. Game script last week kind of took Josh Jacobs out when they're down 21 at halftime, but he's averaging 4.6 yards per carry. I think he gets fed the ball. I like him over 65.5 rush yards. I like him to get 80 or more with Brian Thomas in that one. And then the final one, finally. You can keep stacking these up. Kraft singles, anytime touchdown. Like he said, no Romeo Doubs, no Christian Watson. Guess who has the highest red zone targets on the Packers? It's Tucker Kraft. Plus 240 here. It's just going to be him, Dontavian Wicks. Like we mentioned, I think the odds, this is just an odds-based play here, but plus 240 for a guy who's already one of the highest red zone targets and now missing 2 receivers. I mean, Christian Watson's already been out for a while, but you throw away weeks 2 and 3. He finally got a touchdown with Jordan Love last week. I love all those. I have no breath now. I said everything I need to say.
Yeah, so let me just recap here. There's a lot on the screen. So we got Packers team total over 24.5, like. Kraft anytime touchdown. I don't know. Sounds good. If you like it, I like it. Jacobs over 65.5 rush yards. Cool. The Rams defense is terrible. And what's the last one?
Just the second leg to that ladder. You don't have to put it with that Brian Thomas.
With the Brian Thomas receiving. Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Next. No, Prop Beaver said he's passing on this, right?
Yep. No interest.
All right. Next game.
Other than that, I don't really like this game.
All right. Other than that, I don't really like this game. There's too many graphics to even fit on the screen under his face. Dallas. Oh, it's the last game we're on?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Sunday Night Football. Cowboys, Steelers. It's at 3 now. Oh my God, it is at 3. Nah, they're still 2.5. You can get an expensive 2.5 minus 120 out there. So I've been holding a Steelers money line ticket since 2 Fridays ago, when on the Giants Cowboys Thursday night football game, when the Cowboys injuries were announced the next day. I think it was Friday morning. They announced them. I went and grabbed Steelers money line. I think it was at minus 112 or minus 115. So I have the Steelers at like a pick 'em here. At anything less than a field goal, it would only be the Steelers. The Cowboys defense. First of all, it might be the worst run defense in the NFL. They're getting blown off the line of scrimmage. So we won't even talk about the injuries. Let's just talk about the Cowboys defense. Let's pretend that they're at full strength here. They still might be the worst defense, the worst run defense in the NFL. Like I said, they're getting blown off the line of scrimmage. They're getting blown off the line of scrimmage. Now we take into account the injuries. There's no Micah Parsons, right? There's no DeMarcus Lawrence, right? That's the 2 best pieces of the Dallas defensive front out. So the worst run defense in the NFL is missing its 2 best pieces in the defensive front. Okay, not loving that. Now we go to the secondary. Now, what's his name? Bland has been out all year, right? So they're already down a corner before we even get started. Diggs didn't practice on Friday. We don't even know if Trevon Diggs is going to play in this game. They might be down another corner. And if Diggs doesn't play, the Dallas Cowboy cornerbacks in this game, I mean, it would be Kalen Carson, who, by the way, is also questionable. Kalen Carson may not even play. Andrew Booth Jr., C.J. Goodwin. So this Cowboys run defense is terrible. The pass defense, it probably will also be terrible here on the road in Pittsburgh. Not to mention, Justin Fields actually matches up well. He's been throwing the ball, really efficient throwing the ball against zone coverage. The Cowboys run nothing but zone. He's also handled pressure well. Not sure if the Cowboys are able to generate pressure without those 2 edge rushers, but he's handled pressure well. Steelers offense is terrible. They don't score many points, but they should have a nice day here. And as far as the Steelers defense, I expect Dak Prescott to actually play well, but on the road in Pittsburgh against that pass rush, it's a tough spot for Dak. So I think that anything under 3 would have to be Pittsburgh here for me.
I completely agree. I didn't make a bet, but my lean would be Steelers when it was under 3. I don't mind at minus 3. I also lean the under in this game, but only 3 of the Steelers' last 22 games have gone over 44 points. And Dallas has gone under this in 10 of the last 15 road games. So just some huge trends there. But I don't see a team that can't run the ball and can't stop the run going into Pittsburgh on prime time and doing much, to be honest with you. I don't think they win. I think the pressure is going to be too much. Dak might have some garbage yards at the end of the game or something, but I think the Steelers are just, as long as they just take care of the ball, do what they need to do. I think Najee Harris has a chance to have a big game here. I see a 20-14 type game for the Steelers. I like the under, but also like the Steelers. So
yeah, people are saying the public is a square play. Everyone's on Dallas. Is that true? I figured everyone would be taking the Steelers here.
I mean, if that's the case, woohoo!
There's no way everyone's betting Dallas in the current state right now, right?
I thought it was Steelers last I saw,
yeah, I mean, I would imagine with the injuries to Dallas, who's betting the Cowboys?
Yeah. And real quick on that betting public now, just a quick update for week 5. 22-38-2 against the spread, the worst in 20 years still through 4 weeks.
Yeah, we're polling on the Steelers pretty heavily. So as far as our viewership, everyone's betting the Steelers. So I don't know. Maybe out there are people betting the Cowboys. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm on the Steelers for all the reasons the country is. Justin Fields has been a beast this year, and he has all the tools to exploit this Dallas defense. He runs and he throws. The Cowboys defense cannot handle that. I mean, they can barely handle a quarterback that throws. Nevertheless, one that runs. I mean, Lamar Jackson tore this defense to shreds. I mean, he borderline almost had a perfect game against them, and then with his legs, I think that Justin Fields, honestly, if I didn't almost have 2 units in this game already, I'd add a third, but I think that Justin Fields can have a great day with his legs on the ground here. And then what I did was I went Eric Kendricks over 9.5 tackles plus assists. The line did move against me at one point. It went to 8.5, but now it's back up to 9.5. So that's at least some good news there. You could get that at minus 120 on Hard Rock and on BetMGM. Linebackers against the Steelers have been a moneymaker all season. I mean, this team just runs it runs it and runs it more. And I know that it hurts a bit that Jalen Warren and Cordero Patterson are out for this one, but I just expect them to replace a bit of those Warren attempts with more Najee attempts and more Fields attempts. So we've seen a linebacker now cash his line in every single game, and with Kendricks as the main one going over in both of his last two, I believe, with 13 and 12. And then the first game he had 9, but he only played 67% of the snaps getting injured. So had he played the full game, he would have been over 3 or 4 starts. I think there's tons of value there. Would even play this at 10.5 if it moved up. So, yep, those are our picks for this one.
All right. Shall we do an underdog?
Well, actually, let's do the community parlay, and then I'll send the underdog over.
All right. Hit the song. Community parlay coming up.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We community, making a parlay. Yeah.
All right. So let's get the poll started here.
Okay.
First up, put in Jags money line. I put Dolphins money line. I think Dolphins might have won that poll. It was pretty close though. Bears money line. That one was pretty close as well. A lot of people are betting the Panthers. Ravens money line. Ravens definitely won that poll.
Wife and kids are out of the house today, guys. It's going to be a day.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Wow.
speaking of which, while they're voting, Steve, do you want to tell everyone where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, just a bet outside on YouTube, on Twitter as well. We just have a ton of fun talking best bets for MLB, NBA, NFL, and we just added a team member, and we are now doing NHL this season. It will not be me. It's all him. I don't know enough about hockey. Yeah, we just give out bets and a lot of research help as well for you guys every day and just have a lot of fun. So
Cool. Yep, so that's Just a Bet Outside. That's his Twitter name right there, and that's also the name of the YouTube channel. They upload daily stuff. They do a good job over there. All right, so what the first poll is on who?
Jags.
Jags?
Yes.
Jags money line.
Okay.
We're going to need that second place finisher, so.
That is the Ravens.
Okay. So Browns or Commanders definitely.
So Jaguars.
Is the color important right now? We get the poll.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, we have extra time today.
All right. Commanders money line. Bills Texans. Who did they vote for? I think they voted for. Yeah, they voted for the Bills. I remember seeing that. They definitely voted Bills on that one. Raiders Broncos. They voted Broncos. And then Cardinals 49ers. They voted. Oh, I think Cardinals won that. Put 49ers money line because I'm sure in money line parlay they prefer 49ers, but I think Cardinals might have won that poll. Cast your votes. Cast your votes.
another quick stat for you guys. 15 quarterbacks have thrown for over 300 yards this season. They're 3-11-1 against the spread.
Wow. Yeah, that's just not been the model for winning. Also, probably happening when they're down in the game.
Yeah.
Something I will say about the Cowboys Steelers game. Now that it's at -3, it's definitely too rich for my blood at this point. I got the Steelers out of pick'em, so I don't like laying 3 full points with an offense that doesn't necessarily put up a lot of points. With all the injuries, I expect the Steelers to win the game, but now that it's at -3, at the current price, this would be a straight pass for me. So I got in early when Steelers was a pick'em. At the current price, I mean, actually at +3, I don't know. I wouldn't even be mad if you think that. I mean, because Steelers play a lot of like 17, 16 games. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So who won the second poll?
Commanders.
The Commies.
Fellas, that's a losing parlay right there.
Browns are winning, bro. They don't know. They don't even know.
Losing parlay right there. It's
So
Deshaun
next
Watson
up-
Legacy Day. It's National Massage Day.
Next up is Seahawks money line. Packers money line. And Steelers money line. Let's just do a poll with those 3. Just X out the last one. And then we'll do a second place poll after. Steve, by the way, real quick while they're voting, who you like today on the diamond?
Oh, the diamond. Well, you got to go Mets every day. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of something
please.
you have to do. But also, you got to go Royals in this situation. I like the Royals in Game 1, but I just worry about their offense.
The Royals are. I thought the Padres Dodgers were tonight. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
You're right.
You were talking about for the weekend. I meant just today's. My bad.
Yeah. Okay, no. I picked Padres to win the World Series. I had a plus 1,200 bet on that one. That was a tough loss yesterday, but I like the Padres tonight as an underdog. But
with Pooh Darvish on the mound.
You's gonna get the job done tonight.
Yeah.
But also, can you ever take the Phillies? I know Christopher Sanchez is on the mound at home, but I don't trust Severino as much. I kind of like the over in that game as well. That Mets Phillies.
I like. Honestly, I'm not betting against the Mets because it doesn't matter if every single thing points to them supposed to lose. To favorable matchup for the Phillies. The Brewers doesn't matter. The Mets just continue to get it done. And then Padres, Dodgers. I'll probably be taking the Dodgers just to fade toast because it'll be fun in the Discord. We got Sunday Night Football and Dodgers Padres on at the same time. Cowboys Steelers. That'll be a fun time in the Discord, and I definitely want to be shit talking toast at that time. So I'll probably be on the Dodgers for fun. But yeah.
Padres I thought would be bigger, just plus 120 on the money line right now. But I like that. Over under is 8 though.
I had such a bad college football Saturday that it overshadowed the fact that on the MLB show I went 4-0 and picked them all. But like I didn't even like care. I was so mad. Like I was just like so mad at college football that I didn't even like acknowledge it or notice it. So yeah, maybe I'll bet some baseball. Community parlay is Jacksonville, Washington, Seattle, Green Bay plus 412 underdog pick'em.
All right.
Let's see what property we've got here.
I'm not gonna lie, folks. In terms of our CLV, we got beat up a bit. We took some punches here. But the way I'm feeling about Brian Thomas Jr. and Amari Cooper today, CLV, schmlv. I mean, who cares about that, right? I mean, Eric Kendricks higher than 9.5 tackles plus assists. I described the way that linebackers are racking them up against the Steelers. Love that. Brian Thomas Jr., I mean, the way I feel about this man, he's going nuclear today, so love BTJ. And then Amari Cooper, higher than 57.5 receiving yards. I mean, this guy has more air yards than I don't even know, man. I mean, he is so due, it hurts my face. It's time for him to go off today. Those are our 3 picks for today. If you want to fade, if you want to tail, good luck. I don't care. This is our free pick that Underdog is offering for new customers. Dak Prescott, higher than a total half yard. Think he should be able to do that for you. And then if you want to sign up, well, then you'd have to do so in one of these yellow states. You can get a deposit match up to $1,000 if you sign up using the promo code BET, BET.
By the way, Jets just got an interception. This game's not over yet. Jets have the ball in Vikings territory thanks to a Darnold pick.
It's over in my heart. It's over in my eyes.
All right, what'd you get on the total?
40.5. I'm still in play.
Yep.
I mean, what I need is a Jets touchdown here, then a game-tying field goal. I'll go to overtime 2020 and love my life there. So I'm still in play. Obviously, the question I always ask is if you could take a live total right now of 40.5, would you take the under or over? And I think it should be about 40.5 right now based on the current situation. So, yeah, I bet you the live total is probably about 38.5. So I'm still in play. But all right, everyone, enjoy your Sunday. Thanks so much for watching. NFL Sundays have been great to me, so hopefully let's make that 3 in a row. College football, I cannot say the same. College football is killing me. So hopefully we have a good one. Please remember to bet responsibly. Live show tomorrow, 4 p.m., probably 4 p.m. for the Monday Night Football games. We'll talk some playoff baseball and all that. I'll let you know. I'll be in the Discord if you need me. Later, guys. Have a good one.
Doses.